Okay, in this video, we're going to go ahead and create what we call an exploded view of our automata. So at this point, the only time in which you can start this step is if you have completely fully assembled your automata. So if you notice again, this is just the example. I still have 3 followers and 3 cams to put in, but again, for the purpose of this video, I want to show you the steps on how to explode and create an exploded view of your assembled automata. Okay. So go ahead. Your first step is, again, make sure you're on the assembly tab of your automata, and then you're going to click on this icon over here. If you hover your mouse, if you notice, it says exploded views. I realize it's a little bit hard to see right now on the screen, but it should say exploded views. When you click on it, a window is going to pop up. And if you notice, we actually want to add an exploded view. And now if you notice, our next step is we are going to, what it even says right here, we're going to build steps by dragging the components. So first we're going to be selecting the components in the graphics area to move them. And we're going to either drag them, rotate them based on what we would like them to do and how we would like them to be orientated. So the first step, if I think about exploding this view, think about moving the pieces that are on the outside first. So I'm going to first start with the followers, right? I want to make sure to move the followers up. So I'm going to click on this arrow up, and I'm even going to move it up. I'm going to even kind of zoom out a little bit and kind of move it up. And if you notice, this little window pops up. And going up that far, it only went up about 4 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to just even that out and round it up to a 5 and hit enter. But I also want this other follower to go in that same direction and the same distance. That's one movement. There's nothing else. I do want to move this top piece up, but I don't want to move it 5 inches. So it has to be in what we call a different step. Okay. Steps are moving pieces in the same direction and distance. So click on the green check. Now I want to add another step, right? So it's really easy. Click to make sure nothing else is selected. Okay. And then in order to continue to add another step, I'm going to now click on the next feature that I want to move, which is this top plate that has the holes for the followers. So I'm going to click on the arrow. I know it's going down, but I don't want it to go down. I want it to go up. So I'm going to click on it and move it up. And if you notice when the window pops up, it has a negative value. That's just because the arrow is in the opposite direction. So I want negative. Again, I'm just going to kind of round it up. So I'm going to put a -3. And I'm going to hit the green check. And that's the only one that I would like to move in that upward direction, right? Because you also have to think about how it would actually work and function. I wouldn't move this up. Why? Because that hole would end up going through the axle, which doesn't really make sense, okay? So that's a good step. Click to make that stay. I'm now going to click on this side. I'm going to move it out in this direction. This window pops up. I'm going to even it out to 4. Hit the green check. There's that movement. And the back piece, I'm going to go ahead and click on that one, and I'm going to move it back. A window pops up, and we're going to change it to -5. Hit enter. There we go. Green check. Now, when I want to move this side out, I'm going to go ahead and start with the outermost piece, okay, or exteriormost piece, which is this crank handle, right? So I'm going to click on that, move it out, okay? I'm going to change that to about 6, okay? And I'm also going to change this to 6, but if you notice, it kind of is hard to see because they're super close, so I'm going to close this out, and you can do this too. If you accidentally select a piece, go up here to this window, click on that little X. It removes that movement. Okay, so I'm going to green check. Now I'm going to go ahead. I clicked once to remove that highlight. I'm going to click on that kind of end cap or collar, we call it, and I'm going to move it out. Again, I'm going to have that be -3.5. Enter to make that stay. That's a good distance. And now the last piece, green check, I'm going to move this side panel out, and I'm going to move it out a little bit more. I click to make it stay, and we're going to change it to -2.4. I'm just going to slightly round it up. There you go. Click to make it stay. So now I have this, which looks really great. I'm going to actually move this end cap. Technically, I think that should have been all the way out past that, so I'm going to make sure that that moves all the way out. We're just going to change that to 5, green check. And now I'm going to go ahead and move this cam. Click to make that stay, move it out. We're going to move that to a distance of, let's see what 3 does. There we go. Maybe even 4. Let's see what 4 does. Yeah, that's pretty good. How about we're going to do it in the middle just because I like to kind of even some of the spacing out a little bit. And let's even see what that turns out. Perfect. Now, if you notice, this is kind of neatly organized, and we want this view to kind of be an isometric view, if you can kind of check it out, which kind of helps visualize and see. If you notice, I can't really see this piece very well, so I'm going to click on it for a second, and if you notice, it highlights this step, explode step 8, so I'm going to double click it to edit it, and if you notice, I'm even going to change that to 6, because I want it to stick out a little bit more, and then green check. Okay, now that looks pretty good. I'm even going to extend this a little bit further back. If you notice, when I click on it, it highlights this exploded step 4. So I'm going to double click there to edit it, and I'm going to change that to -6, and we'll see, just because I like the little gap in between, it helps visualize the exploded view a little bit better. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to click on kind of this isometric view, click to make it stay, and now if you notice, you can kind of see, except again, in this cam, it's kind of hard to see the difference between the two. So I'm actually going to edit that. I'm going to remove that pair cam, green check, and now instead I'm going to add my own kind of exploded step just to that pair cam, move it just out. And again, the reason why I like that, now I'm going to change it to, let's just say 2.6, hit enter, green check, good preview. Just because now I can kind of see it even a little bit better. Why? Because I can see this eccentric cam, I can see this pair cam, and I can see all the pieces necessary in the exploded view. When you're done, we're going to go ahead and do a next video of how do you turn this into a drawing.